we had some really surprising news earlier this week. Shockingly, Alan Strickland, who is the Alameda County Sheriff's deputy who sued Masai Ujiri for their altercation after the Raptors won the World Championship, has dropped his lawsuit. He was suing for $75,000 because he said that Masai Ujiri gave him a concussion, caused nerve damage, stopped him from being able to work, all in the space of literally a 2-second shoving match, which Strickland started. Lawsuit dropped. Meghan McPeak, how surprised are you that Alan Strickland has looked at his chances of winning, his chances of getting him $75,000, and his chances of losing, and said, let me cut my losses?
I'm not at all surprised when the footage, like, this is the thing that we thought would happen months ago. And even prior to him filing the suit, I didn't think he would actually have the balls to do it. Like, you have video footage. There is numerous camera angles of the shoving match beginning by you placing your hands on Masai Ujiri. Like that, he was in self-defense mode. I always grew up with the understanding that you do not start the fight. If you have to get into an altercation with somebody, you do it as self-defense. And that is what Masai Ujiri did. Sheriff's officer, you put your hands on him. The fact that you had the gulls to turn around and file a lawsuit for what, I don't really understand. I'm trying to figure out how he even got a concussion when he never hit his head. He wasn't shoved hard enough to get whiplash to cause a concussion. I have had multiple concussions, none of which have come from being pushed by anyone. And I grew up with an older brother, and all we did was fight. That is what brothers and sisters do and siblings do. So if I could go all my life fighting with my brother and not get a concussion, I'm trying to figure out how a maybe 30-second incident caused you to get a concussion, caused you to not be able to work anymore. I think he was trying to sue because he was embarrassed that he got caught being a racist person and objectifying and stereotyping a black man in a suit. And what it was for me was the moment on TSN when Leo Routens said point blank period that he walked onto the floor without credentials showing, and he was not stopped. But yet Masai Ujiri, with credentials showing, was stopped and put into an altercation that he had to then turn around and defend himself for months. This is not a surprise at all. I'm surprised it even got this far, but Masai Ujiri was vindicated. We knew he would be. It was never in doubt.
I'm lucky that I can fight and stand and show and have evidence, but there are many people that don't. We have to make it better. We have to fight. We have to stand up. We have to speak up.
2 words for you, Meghan. Insurance fraud, right? This is the reason why Strickland had a failed job interview with another local police department, because he has a criminal record for insurance fraud. And so when he saw Masai Ujiri, he knew Masai Ujiri wasn't just a guy. He knew Masai Ujiri was rich. And so this is very much the same as jumping in front of a Rolls Royce and letting him run you over and break your leg and then suing the driver. This is what he did. Because then if I had shoved Alan Strickland, I might well have wound up in jail because I don't have the resources Masai Ujiri has. But there would not have been a lawsuit because what kind of money is he gonna get out of me? I'm a journalist. But David Zirin, what do you make of this idea that Masai Ujiri had to spend this much of his life, the last 18 months of his life, with this thing on the back burner for committing the offense of celebrating while black?
That's an absurdity. I mean, I've been in this business a while. You know, one of my first beats as a young sports reporter, I was at a newspaper where I had to do a lot of different things, and I had to cover the police union and the FOP where I was, just cover what they were doing. And a lesson I learned very young, and I can't believe this lesson still needs to be learned and relearned by the media, although it doesn't surprise me, but it does upset me, is that when we're dealing with police stories, you never take the initial word of the folks in the gospel. Treating their reports as ironclad truth is too often the default position of the media when it should be looked at skeptically. They come at these stories from their own point of view with their own independent interests at heart. They are not these sort of objective truth tellers who emerge to let us know as if they're like RoboCop, showing us video of what actually took place every time they speak. That's far too often how we treat these statements by police officers. And especially in these Twitter addicted times, it just takes a moment for their truth to travel the world. And at that moment, the cement has set and the damage has been done. I mean, Masai Ujiri, one of the things he's been spending all this time doing, and way too much time, energy, I assume expense, is unwrapping the reality of what took place. That should not have been his job. And he only had to do it because of the officer, yes, but also the media taking what he said and just being like, bam, this is what happened. And frankly, some of those members of the media were the first ones to report it were San Francisco and Bay Area reporters who I think also had a burr under their saddle about Golden State even losing that series in the first place. So they just jump ahead with the police, their local Alameda County police officer, they're bringing their police version events to the truth as if it's the truth. And we have to move beyond this as a media. We have to be much more skeptical. I mean, I went through this, with Michael Bennett, former Seattle Seahawk, who I wrote a book with. He was falsely accused by the Houston police of knocking somebody over at the Super Bowl. They arrested him months and months after the fact. And then and Michael spent months and months and months trying to not just prove his innocence, but also restore his reputation. And then the police quietly just sort of dropped the suit and said, yeah, it didn't happen. It was a revenge move because they hated the fact that Michael Bennett was outspoken against police violence. So they took their shot at him. And I think we can take this power away from police departments to destroy reputations if, as a media, we just approach what they're saying with a skeptical eye and not printing it as if it's gospel.
We talked and we've talked about this again. This is one of the really alarming manifestations of the Scotty the Scooter Miller effect, where somebody says something and because they say it first, we in the media treat it as fact. And then anything else that comes afterward kind of tempers the fact it might be fiction. And we weigh these two accounts together as if they each have equal credence. And they don't. You have a guy that says, hey, I tried to step onto the court. I had my credential in my hand. And you have another guy that says, well, I didn't see his credential, so I wasn't going to let him on the court. And within this 5-second interaction, he did this laundry list of damage to me. Who are you going to believe? Well, it's not that difficult to figure out. But thankfully, go ahead.
Also, too, Morgan, let's also credit the fact that the fans that were surrounding that area immediately came to the defense of Masai Ujiri and let the public know, like, no, this is not what happened. What they are saying happened is not correct. We were there, we witnessed it. So credit to and a lot of them were Golden State Warriors fans. So credit to them as well too, because they respected the situation. They respected Masai's position and they said, whoa, this is not what happened. This is actually what happened. We were witness to it.
Yeah, well, it's one of these things. It's a lot tougher to sell one side of a story as the only truth in the smartphone era when you do this thing in a crowd. And two, Alan Strickland did not expect all these white, wealthy, and we know they're wealthy because they're sitting floor level seats during the NBA finals, all these white, wealthy Golden State Warriors fans to be effective allies to Masai Ujiri, the English Nigerian black guy based in Canada leading this team to the NBA finals. But shout out to Masai Ujiri and like all of us are happy and relieved that this is over for him. And again, just really disappointed, but not necessarily surprised that he had to go through it.